Imagine this. Deep in the rugged mountains of Georgia, a Turkish C-130 Hercules, a real workhorse of the skies, just disappears from radar. But what people on the ground caught on camera wasn't just a crash, it was a horrifying disintegration happening right there in midair. So the question isn't just how it crashed, it's what in the world could have torn this legendary plane apart in the sky.
And that's really the one question at the heart of this entire thing. What could possibly make a plane famous for being tough as nails just come apart like that? It's a mystery we're going to unpack.
The flight itself was tragically short. It takes off from Ganja in Azerbaijan, crosses into Georgian airspace, and then just minutes later, without a single word, it's gone from every radar screen. Poof.
All right, so to really get to the bottom of this mystery, we have to start with the cold, hard facts of what actually happened that day.
The wreckage was found scattered all across the Georgian landscape, right near the border with Azerbaijan. The C-130 was actually on its way back to Turkey, carrying 20 military personnel home from Victory Day celebrations and, well, tragically, there were no survivors.
And here's the thing. This isn't just speculation. This is the absolute core of the mystery. Videos from eyewitnesses popped up almost right away, and they show the plane in a death spiral, trailing smoke, and very clearly breaking into pieces before it ever even hit the ground. And what makes it even more chilling? The silence. Air traffic control got nothing. No mayday, no warning, not a peep. That points to something catastrophic and incredibly sudden, an event that happened so fast the experienced crew didn't even have a second to react.
So, you have to ask, right? Was the plane itself the problem? To answer that, we really need to get to know the aircraft at the center of this whole thing, the legendary C-130 Hercules.
57. This particular plane was 57 years old, and that number, as you can imagine, has become a huge focus for investigators. I mean, that is an incredible lifespan for any machine, especially for a military transport that gets worked as hard as these things do.
Yeah, and this wasn't just any C-130. Tail number 681609, this thing had a story. It first flew way back in 1968. It spent decades with the Royal Saudi Air Force before Turkey picked it up and modernized it back in 2010. So it had a long history, which just makes its final, tragic flight all the more puzzling.
Okay, so with wreckage scattered over such a wide area, investigators started the incredibly difficult job of piecing together the plane's final moments, really separating what they know for sure from what they still don't.
This is the absolute central puzzle. The C-130 is designed from the ground up to be tough, to take a beating. For it to fail this spectacularly, well, it points to something truly extraordinary.
So let's break down what investigators are working with. They know for a fact it was a mid-air breakup, and they found no initial signs of a missile or a bomb, which is key. But the big unknown is what started it all. What was the trigger? That and the whole story that's still locked away inside the plane's black box.
So based on all the evidence they have so far, the investigation has really started to narrow its focus down to three main and, frankly, deeply concerning possibilities.
And look, these aren't just random guesses. Each one of these theories, structural failure, a major cargo shift, or a critical mechanical breakdown, is grounded in real evidence from past incidents and the specific details of this crash. Okay, theory number one circles right back to that number, 57. Think about it. After decades of stress, thousands of flights where the metal skin expands and contracts, did a key part of the wing or the fuselage just give up? Metal fatigue is like bending a paperclip back and forth. Eventually, it just snaps. It's a tiny crack that can grow for years, totally invisible until one day it fails catastrophically.
The second theory is all about what was inside. We know the plane was carrying heavy cargo, including spare parts for F-16 fighter jets. Now, if that heavy load wasn't secured perfectly, a sudden shift in flight could have thrown the plane's balance so far off so violently that the pilots would lose all control, and the aerodynamic forces could have literally ripped the plane apart.
And then you have the third possibility, a sudden critical breakdown. Imagine an engine failing and sending shrapnel tearing through the wing, or a complete loss of flight controls. In that chaos, the crew's desperate fight to save the plane could have put so much stress on the airframe, forces it was never built to handle, that it led to the breakup itself.
So while all these theories are guiding the investigation, the goal is always to find the one definitive answer. And fortunately, it looks like the key to unlocking this whole mystery has been recovered from the wreckage.
Yep, the black box. It's actually two boxes, the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder, and they've both been found. It holds the final words of the crew and every last bit of data from the plane's final seconds. It's really the only unbiased witness to what truly happened.
So the work on the ground right now is incredibly intense. The Turkish investigation team is there, meticulously mapping out where every piece of wreckage landed, while specialists are carefully trying to pull the data from that recovered recorder. The entire aviation world is basically holding its breath, just waiting to hear what they find.
And all of this brings us to the final, really critical question this tragedy forces all of us to think about. I mean, the C-130 is an icon, but this was a 57-year-old icon. As we keep pushing the boundaries of aviation with new tech, this crash is a really stark reminder: what is our duty to the thousands of older but still essential aircraft and the crews who fly them every single day? The answer to that question might just be the most important lesson to come from this whole tragedy.